Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations with a Christmas layout that you can create using a few holiday collections. Today I'm going to be using a mix of products from Bramble Fox's holiday collection. I'll be using the Christmas Traditions title with the beautiful holly perspectives and a few new paper snips. This is a favorite photo of mine from Christmas, so I decided to make a page to record this memory. I have selected some elements from crepe paper for this page, and I'm going to be pairing them with this Christmas Traditions title. This has two separate pieces that you can use together or individually. On this page, I'm going to be framing the photo with these holly leaves. This package comes with two colors of leaves and some little red berries. I've also grabbed some holiday paper snips with these sweet little phrases that I want to use on my page. And I'll be using a few other items in my collection, so I'll make sure to place links to those in the description below. I'm going to start with a black plaid background. And I'm going to lay some white cardstock over it. My photo is going to sit in the center of the page, so I want to create a frame around it with those holly perspectives. Before I lay these down, I need to remove that vinyl layer from the front and the back of the leaves so that you can see the color a little bit better. I'm using a die tool to remove this layer, but tweezers also work. This vinyl is not that difficult to remove. I am trying to lay all of these out so that each cluster has both colors of holly leaves. I'm making sure that the colors opposite of each other match but are rotated or mirrored slightly. This variation of color is really pretty on this design against the black and white background. Now that I have a direction to go, I want to bring in a little bit of stenciling. I'm using a holly stencil with some Distress Oxide ink to create a few layers of leaves around the cardstock. I have masked off some of the areas of the stencil with repositionable tape to make sure I don't accidentally get ink in the other areas. With a blending tool, I'm going to color in the entire leaf, and then I'll add some darker color along the edges with a smaller blending brush. The smaller brush prevents me from getting too much ink along the sides and creates almost that vignette look on the leaves. I'm going to repeat this process on all four sides of the cardstock. Now that I finished adding the leaves, I want to bring in a little bit of shimmer. And I'm going to do this with some glacier paste. I'm just going to use a spatula to apply a thin layer over the leaves. This paste is going to react with the Distress Oxide ink and soften it a bit, but I like how that looks. I'm going to finish adding the paste to the rest of the leaves and set this aside to dry, and then I'll start putting together my page. Off camera, I attached the white cardstock to the background with a little bit of stitching, and I added some berries using that stencil. I'm going to attach the holly perspectives in place using a little bit of adhesive, and you'll be able to see how this starts to come together. Now that all of these holly pieces are in place, I'm going to add my photo and embellishments. One of the things I wanted to share with you today is a way to use up those cut-apart pages or pocket card pages you have in your collection. We all end up with these when we purchase a paper pack, and sometimes I don't quite know what to do with them. As you can see, I have already cut mine apart, and I want to show you how to use them to create layers behind a photo. When you are using these to create a frame, it's always best to take advantage of the printing on the cards. Some of these have built-in frames, and I'm making sure that I lay these so that the frame shows up on the side of the photo. Others have different patterns or prints that you can have peeking out along the sides. I like to mirror the colors or patterns on opposite sides. This creates the illusion that the frame goes all the way around. You can choose to have these go a little bit wonky or place them all perfectly straight. I like to move them around a bit and create different thicknesses as I add the cards. Now you're going to see here that I'm just going to fuss with them a little bit and rearrange them a little bit until I get the look that I want. If for any reason you need more of a pattern, you can cut those cards in half. I wanted the frame around this to be all green patterns, so I cut one of my cards diagonally and I placed it in opposite corners. Once I finished adding all of the cards around the photo, I can make it appear more cohesive by adding another frame around the entire piece, or I can add some stitching, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go off camera and add a little bit of stitching, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. So here's my finished photo frame with those cut apart and pocket pages. Isn't it cute? The little stitching around the edges just creates a nice cohesive look, and it has some great little layers of textures, patterns, and colors here. I'm going to be adding a few embellishments around this. I'm going to start by framing the photo with some chipboard stickers in the corners. I have a large poinsettia on the upper left, and then I'm going to add a tree and a little banner on the lower right. On the large poinsettia, I'm adding a phrase from the paper snip sheet that says laughter. I'm also going to bring in some pine cones to each of these clusters. This adds a little bit more to the layers, and it's going to bring in some neutral tones. After adding the chipboard stickers, I grabbed a package of puffy stickers to add to the page. These are from the same crepe paper collection, so there are similar shapes and images, they're just smaller. I tucked some sprigs and florals within all of those chipboard stickers. Now, I didn't want to add too many because this page has a lot going on with the holly on the sides, and I want to make sure that the focus stays on that photo. The two girls in this picture are cousins, and they spend every moment they can together. This photo of the two of them laughing together at Christmas is a favorite of mine. It shows how much they care for each other, and seeing these faces and how much they enjoy each other just melts my heart. Now, in the upper right corner, I added a phrase and a poinsettia. This helps to create the start of a diagonal, which is going to lead to the journaling at the base of the page. All right, so I have finished adding all of the puffies, and I've adhered my title in place. I'm going to start gluing down the berries near those holly perspectives. Now, these berries came with the holly perspectives, and I realized that I must have lost someone somewhere because I was a little bit short. So I ended up just grabbing some pearls from my stash. These were a little bit of a different color. They didn't match exactly, but that's okay. I decided that I could just add more of these little pearls to the other holly images, and it turned out great. I'm going to finish this up, and then I'll share the completed page. Off camera, I added some details to the page. Using a white gel pen, I added highlights to the stenciled berries to give them a little bit of dimension. I also added some black enamel dots around the photo, and I placed my journaling on some vellum below the title. Now I want to share a few close-ups of this page so that you can see it in a little bit more detail. This layout is one that you can create using those lovely holly perspectives and stencils from your collection. On this page, I was able to create a frame with those elements and show you how it all came together. I especially liked being able to share one of the ways that I use cut-apart pages or pocket cards as a photo frame on a layout. Thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you would like to see more of my creations, you can visit my channel or follow Miss Carrie's Creations online. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.